With the release of the original Until Dawn, which released about 9 years ago, we are now seeing a remaster of that game, and it isn't holding up to the gamer base. People are not happy with it. Sure, the graphics may have been upgraded, but I don't understand why we continue to see these developing companies remake games that still hold up to this day and age and are still very highly thought of when it comes to the game's story, because right now people are very unhappy because the new remaster is changing a lot of things, especially when it comes to the lighting of the game. It's more as if it isn't Until Dawn, but it is Until Evening. And before we get into this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, or dislike. It doesn't matter, it helps with engagement, and I much appreciate it. So now we were having Until Dawn fans being upset over changes in huge scenes in the remake. And this is contradicting to what the original developers had in mind when it comes to these scenes. With a scene talking about Ashley and how she doesn't want to open the door for Chris. And I'm just going to read it to you guys so you guys get the full picture. But in the remake now, Ashley is much further from the door. Meanwhile, Chris is banging on the door. And as he does this, Ashley paces around and stares at him for a moment before deciding to sprint towards him to open the door and try to save him. Obviously, she is too late, and then she starts crying. This is not how this scene went in the original. In the original, Ashley does not express the same type of remorse and emotion, as you will know if you played it. As the post notes, the scene feels more realistic and realized as a result of the changes. However, it also feels like a retcon. The developers behind the original noted that Ashley left Chris outside on purpose, hinting at a darker side of the character. That is completely gone from the scene. In other words, while the end result of the scene isn't very different, the implications for the character involved are. And this is just one aspect of the remaster that people aren't liking. You're also having the lighting aspect of it, which I will be getting into shortly. But when you go over to the Steam homepage, the game has received a mixed reaction by 587 reviews. And once again, the developers of this game are charging the full asking price of a brand new game, charging 60 freaking dollars. And if you go over to the reviews, you're obviously going to be having people recommending the game, praising the graphics as well as the immersive experience. However, one thing I do want to point out is that the people that find these reviews helpful tend to be a lot lower compared to the reviews that seem to be not recommended, with, for example, this person having 36 people finding that review helpful. Whereas if you scroll down to the non-recommended section, you're having over 234 people finding this review to be helpful, with once again a lot of the people voicing their opinions as to not recommending this game because of the terrible price point, as well as even in some aspects of the game removing all music and audio within sections, creating these awkward silent moments. And you're also having people complaining that the game is once again broken beyond repair, with game breaking bugs and issues with it that are needing to have patches, which is something we continue to see within this modern day and age of the gaming industry, where games are released in an unfinished state, where developers are charging full asking prices for their products that tend to be not of quality standard. And this is where I want to get into the lighting aspect of the game. You can already see a big difference when it comes to the lighting. In the original, it tended to be a lot more darker and gloomy tone, again adding to that suspense or that horror element when it came to the game. Whereas with the remastered version, it's a lot more lighter and you can actually see your surroundings, taken away from that horror aspect of the game's elements. And this isn't something that is just exclusive to the outdoor world, but when you're also in game within the indoor sections, you can already see that the tones are a lot different. Once again, the right side being the remastered version, tending to be a lot more warmth with lighting, with the left side being once again a lot more cold with not as much lighting, adding to that gloominess aspect. And this all reminds me of when 343 Industries released Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and when you're playing against the Flood within those Flood missions, you saw them take out a lot of the horror aspects when it came to the fog away from those levels. Again, taking away the horror from it. And a lot of people were criticizing that remastered version of the game because of them taking away key moments from it. And this is exactly the same thing that the Until Dawn developers are doing with their remastered version of the game. With even changing some of the character models, you can see that this character tends to have a lot more widened of a face, unless again it could be the lighting aspect, which again you can already see in the background being completely different. And the funny thing is that there are better ways of playing this game. You can buy the physical version of this game from the PS4 release launch and play it on your PS5, and again have a much more better experience when it comes to the atmosphere of the game, having a lot more horror elements, and again not taking away key aspects of the game, which is what we were seeing with this remastered version, changing scenes that ultimately are upsetting fans. And with all that in mind, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye bye.